So let me get you're murdering Asians and hitting women. Is that what I understand? Is you're just a Asian murdering, woman hitting kind of guy?
I I I don't know what to say to that.
This is why you don't get bikes, ladies and gentlemen.
This
As
is
soon as you get a
why.
bike, you become the kind of person who murders Asians and hits women.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's nothing else. There's nothing else going on. Like, what are you gonna do? Sit at home, beat your dick, or are you gonna watch See Forecast?
Shut up and sit down.
All right,
How's it going?
I want to talk about biking on campuses, college campuses. A lot of people are going to go back to school, obviously, right? And I want to talk about what the difference is between walking to classes and biking and experience of biking on campus. I'm sure every place is a little different, but at the University of Maryland, at least, everybody's bike, I'm convinced, got stolen at some point or another. I mean, it happened to me, and there's just this rampant bike thief problem that went on. So I remember my sophomore year going into junior year, I decided that I wanted to have a bike because I was living off campus and I got kicked out of on-campus housing, which prompted me to need a bike because I was off campus. And then, Nuss, you were actually my roommate, right, at the time for that whole fiasco too.
Yeah.
So we
Maybe
were
we
like,
should go over why you got kicked off campus.
at another time. We lived
I
off.
actually can't remember. I don't know why the fuck we got kicked off campus.
Oh, I do.
We'll go into it. We will go into it.
I
That'll be
completely remember. That was the
That'll
party.
be next episode.
That was the party where Nusta said he didn't live there and left when the police were at the front door with the RAs.
Pure brilliance, yeah.
Do you
Jeez,
live
man.
here? No, I don't live here.
Guess who didn't get kicked off campus?
Well, he did. That's why it was funny. Well, he did. I got kicked off, but
We'll go over that in another episode for sure.
So we lived about, I want to say 2 miles, a mile and a half off campus. So you either take the bus or you have to take a bike, right? So I had this really nice, beautiful Trek bike. It was a mountain bike that my parents got me when I was like, I don't know, high school, like 14, 15. So I had this $500 bike. I remember chaining it up outside of our apartment complex at the time. And I want to say within the first 48 hours, within the first 2 days, the bike was stolen, like just gone. I remember coming out and I was like, oh my God, my bike is gone. I never even got to really use it. I had it sitting in my garage in my parents' house for like years, never being used. Bring it to campus.
Did you chain it? Was it chained?
So I had I didn't have a chain. I had I had it. The best way I can describe the lock is it was like braided cable. It was like braided steel cable. And then it's got like the little connector piece with the little tumble dial. And I'm sure somebody just brought snips and just cut right.
I think you're supposed to get the like the horseshoe style, like hard metal.
Yeah, so I got that after this incident. I got the horseshoe hard metal lock as a replacement lock. So
We call that the Breaking Bad season 1 episode 3 lock.
Oh, there you go. So it's actually, you know what, Will, you're probably right because I lost my bike junior year at the beginning of the year, and then we ended up moving out of that apartment complex because we had some bad issues with it was a brand new building and some shit went down, and so we had to move out within the first like 3 weeks of classes, which was nuts. So we moved to a different building, and then at that building, my girlfriend at the time, her bike got stolen, but she also had that braided cable lock that I was describing. And I had the shitty Walmart bike that had the U-lock. So either the U-lock protected my bike, or my bike being a shitty $80 Walmart bike protected my bike in that scenario, right?
Dude, someone saw your bike and was like,
So I lost this $500 bike, and I'm like, well, fuck, what do I do now? So I have my tiny 3 Series BMW 2-door coupe, and I drive to the local Walmart like 6 or 8 miles away, and I go into the Walmart, and I was like, I just want the shittiest bike possible. Like, just give me the cheapest bike. I'm already pissed off. I don't want to spend any money. I'm a poor college kid, but also like if it's just a terrible bike, somebody probably won't steal it, right? So like the guy with the best rims in the parking lot always gets his rims stolen, right? Nobody steals the 20-year-old Honda Civic's tires, right? They go steal the Ferrari.
Feels
So
personal.
Oh, wait, actually, not always true. Sometimes, and I learned this from my neighbor across the street growing up, their van got stolen.
okay,
It's just an old junky van, but the reason being, they found it actually in a mall parking lot somewhere. It was gutted for the back seats, and
interesting.
we were told they were used to steal motorcycles. So what people would do is they would gut these vans, steal the vans, gut them, and then load up motorcycles into the back of these vans.
So if they did that for motorcycles where you live, which was not that far from the campus, maybe these guys at night would come to Maryland and then put bicycles in the back too.
Maybe, but it's kind of a stretch because yes, I'm like relatively close to the campus, but
Well, you're
it's
not.
still a 20-minute, 25-minute
You're
drive.
not in PG County like Will.
I did
you're,
grow up in Bethesda, Maryland. It's a little
sad.
different from College Park,
Yeah,
PG County.
Well, yeah, you're not where Will is. So maybe Will. Do you see some sketchy guy driving around your neighborhood in a van, a stolen van, looking full of bicycles in the back?
No, I live in like the shielded neighborhood.
The gated community.
Yeah, he's got the communities.
So
Where they only look out for the white vans that are there to pick up the children, not the bikes.
Oh, come on.
so I go to Walmart and
That's not the ice cream man, honey.
Depends how you look at it, I guess.
It's just nuts.
So I go to Walmart and I go down the bike aisle. And they usually have like 90% of their bikes are all kids' bikes, right? And so I asked the guy, I was like, "Where's the adult bike section?" And there's like 3 bikes, like literally 3 bikes, and they're like more like teenager bikes than they are like actual full adult-sized bikes. So they had this like mountain-style bike there, and it was $84.99. I don't know why they decided to do $84.99 versus like, usually it's always like $79.99 or $89.99, but it was $84.99. And I said, I'll buy it. And I literally bought that bike, like the one off the store rack. They didn't go to the back and like get me a bike or assemble me a different one. I literally took the one that was sitting on the floor and bought that one. And so I didn't expect that. I thought they were going to give me like a box and then I could like assemble the bike. And so now I'm thinking, well, shit, how am I going to put this bike in my tiny ass little car in the Walmart parking lot? So I took off the front tire and I was able to shove it in there because my seats fold down, right? And so I get back to campus and I park in the parking lot and I take the bike out and then I put the tire back on the bike. And I start to bike toward the apartment complex. And as I start biking through the parking lot, I had to stop because a car was kind of pulling out in front of me, like several yards in front of me. And so I hit the brakes, and I don't know exactly what happened, but I just remember tapping the brakes, and all of a sudden the front tire locks up. I go head over heels, like cartwheel over the front of the bicycle. And I just like had bruising, and like I just completely ruined my forearms. And there was like 3 people in the parking lot that were like walking around, and I just hear somebody laughing at me.
Dude, that's what you get for going into Walmart and saying, "Give me your best Huffy."
So I find out when I get back up, I look at the bike, and it turns out the dude that assembled the bike in Walmart, I didn't realize this, the grip pads are supposed to grip like the side wall of the metal part of the rim or whatever, right? They were adjusted wrong, and they gripped to each other between the spokes. And so when I clicked the thing, it just locked up the wheel instantly, and I just went straight over the top. Like, it was totally fucked.
Dude, you fucking spoked yourself like that one meme where the guy reaches in front of himself and shoves a stick into the spokes.
That's exactly what happened to me. And this was like literally like within the first 5 minutes of owning my $80 Walmart bike, that ended up happening to me. And it was just literally and figuratively downhill from there. Like it was just a miserable experience for the next 2 years of biking. So my opinion of biking on campus is it's totally not worth it because your nice bikes get stolen. And then if you get a crappy bike, you have to deal with the fact that you have a crappy bike. And it just kept getting worse. I mean, it was just miserable. So
Now, I don't know if, I don't know the quality or the price range, but our campus had a lot of bike shops. There were many places you could go to get a bike or get a
Yep.
bike put together.
Yep. That's very true. Yes. I
And
didn't,
you still chose to go to Walmart and said, give me the best bike you've got at
No,
Walmart.
I said, give me the shittiest bike you got. I want literally the cheapest bike. It was
Oh, God.
$84. I mean, to put it in perspective, I went to so at one point, my other two roommates, it was Kyle and Josh and myself, and I don't know, Will, if you were there or not, but we would bike the trail behind our apartment complex, and it was like 3 miles out through the trail, and then you would turn around and then you would come back. And so the three of us were on the bikes, and we started biking out there, and I biked all the way out to the end of the trail. I remember I was literally at the end of the trailhead where you have to turn around to come back. And I just heard this hissing sound coming from my back tire. And there was a massive, like, sharded rock that was just like poked into the tire. And I pulled that sucker out, and the tire just went completely flat. And now I'm 3 miles away. And I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, what do you do at that point? Like, you can't, like, I'm not gonna walk. That's a long freaking walk, and then I got to carry the bike too. I mean, Dean, you do a lot of mountain biking and stuff. Like, you carry like an extra spare tire, like an inflator pump, or what would you do? Like, do you prepare for a flat tire situation?
Yeah, so I road bike, and yeah, we have like a little pack that has like a spare inner tube, and sometimes you bring like a pump or like a CO2 canister or something like that.
So okay, then you have to like disassemble the tire, put the new tube in, and then fill it up, and then you're good to go, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't do any of that. So
I feel like that's not something you bring with you when you're riding an $84 Walmart bike around campus.
You are correct. So I was pissed off, and I was like, well, I'm not going to walk. Because the other two guys, they wanted the bike back, and they were kind of pissed now because they're like, well, I'm not going to leave him. They wanted to. They should have, honestly. And I started to walk it, but I was like way too slow for them. And so I was like, you know what? It's a flat tire, but it's still got the rubber. And so I'm just going to ride it. And that was a pain in the ass, dude. I rode 3 miles. I couldn't do all 3 miles. It was so much of a leg workout to like pedal this bike with a flat tire, the 3 miles, that Josh, me, and Kyle took turns every like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Whenever somebody got tired, they would hop on the bike, we'd switch bikes, and then they would pedal the bike. And so I got all the way back to campus that way. And like Jason, you were saying, there's a whole bunch of bike shops and stuff. So I go to the bike store in the student union building. I think it was by the student union building. And I went in there. I was like, I got a flat tire. Can you guys like fix this? And they were like, well, it's like $20 for an inner tube or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, the bike was $80. I guess I'll pay the $20 for an inner tube. And so I was like, by the way, I rode on this flat tire for 3 miles. And the guy looks at me and he's like, you did what? Like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And so he's like, well, let me check the rim. And so he takes the tire and he takes the rubber off. And as soon as he peels the rubber off, my back wheel is literally like bent like a hexagon practically. Like it's just got divots and ruts in it. And he goes and puts it on like a balancer. And the tire has like, the tire's doing this. It's just wiggling. Like as he spins it, it just sits there and it wobbles back and forth. And so it wobbled so much that it was touching the rear brake pads.
That dude took your tire off the bike, took your wheel off the bike. He probably instantly knew it was fucked, but he was like, I gotta put it on this thing to look legit. He's like, this thing's so fucked.
So I asked him, I was like, do you recommend I replace the rim? He goes, well, yeah, you're touching the brakes with it. And I was like, well, how much would that cost? He goes, I don't know, like $40 or $50. Like the bike was $80. I'm not going to spend half the money on the bike for a fixed rim. I was like, just take the brakes off. So I got a new inner tube, and then I lost my rear brake. So all I had was a front brake. Because of that. And so if you ever looked at the tire as I was like pedaling down the road, the tire was literally like vibrating like this back and forth like 4 or 5 degrees. It was totally off center. It was absolutely miserable. And
so did this bike ever get stolen? Did you have it for 2 years? Like what the hell happened?
Yeah, so the bike never got stolen, which was amazing. So I had the bike for 2 years of school. Senior year I had it, and then I went to grad school at the same school, and I left it chained up at one of the bike terminals by our old apartment complex. And I told myself that if it didn't get stolen, I would take it back at the end of my graduate studies 2 years later. And 2 years later, it was still there, chained up, and nobody ever took it. So the key to not having your bike stolen is to have a crappy Walmart bike. That's the moral of that for sure.
I feel like there's a sweet spot somewhere between shitty Walmart bike and like an actual bike.
I actually have a slightly different strategy because I had the same bike throughout all of college. My dad won like this bike in a raffle. It was like a BMX bike. It was meant for like dirt jumping. So it was like super heavy and could take a massive beating if it wanted to. But I think the reason why it was given away in a raffle was because it was hot pink. And nobody was going to touch that bike.
Nobody was touching a hot pink bike.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty smart. Mine was black and white. It was a black and white bike, so it was a nice color instead of pink.
Can you just paint the bike?
I could have probably. Well, I lost my nice bike, so I mean, why
Dude,
would I buy another nice bike?
Dean definitely wanted that bike.
No, the hot pink bike.
Oh yeah, I had that bike for years, like at least 4 or 5 years.
And you never wanted to
Color of
change.
choice, dude.
No, yeah, I'd never considered changing that color. It was sweet. I got used to it. I liked it.
Hey, it was unique. You always knew it was yours, right? You were the only pink bike at the gym, right? At the bike racks.
Yeah.
Did I tell you guys Steinhardt tried to get me to get a bike, but it was when we lived together sophomore year, and he was like, "Dude, let's get a tandem bike. We could be those guys on campus." Because we had so many classes together, we would just definitely be biking a class together on the same tandem bike.
Oh, that would
That's
be great.
not even at all.
We'd ride by Herb Law in his golf cart. Just be like, "What up, man? Yo, it's the tandem guys.
It's the tandem bike guys. Yo, dude, that would have been great though. Oh man, you have to wear the helmets too, obviously, right?
Yeah, and talk about a bike that no one would steal.
Yeah, no one's gonna steal that bike. That's definitely true. You probably don't even have to chain up a tandem bike. The guy's just
You
like,
probably you probably need an accomplice. Like, dude, we gotta steal his tandem bike.
Yo, I need you to be my second guy. Pedal faster. We got to get away. But
what are you even gonna do with it?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. That'd be hard to resell too, I guess, right? Or resell.
Can you ride it? You can ride a tandem bike on your own,
You
right?
probably can.
Probably in the front seat, not in the back seat, of
Yeah,
course.
definitely not the back seat. But
You're just in the back seat. You're just trying to balance.
as
like
much shit as I give the Walmart bike, that thing was built like a tank. So like Dean, you said your bike was built like a tank. My bike was also slightly built like a tank, and I'll say why it was slightly because I was flying down this hill going home from class, and it was like dusk/evening, and there was this big overhead awning in between two buildings. And you go through that, and then there's a parking lot, and you go through that, and then there's a bridge that goes over to where the apartment complex is. And as I hit the pavement in the parking lot, I look up to my right, and there's this little scrawny Asian guy riding a road bike, those really thin, light frame road bikes. And I obviously can't stop because all I have is a front brake. I don't have a rear brake, and I'm not going to slam on the brake again and go over the handlebars. So I just slam this dude, like T-bone him. My front wheel smacks into his front frame and his front wheel. And we're wearing a helmet, and I was not wearing a helmet. We both smacked our heads, and we both got hurt instead of just me getting hurt. So
if you had both worn the helmet, then everyone would have been.
If he had worn a helmet and I didn't wear one, I would have been fucked.
Yeah, what if both of you wore a helmet though?
Yeah, I think you're just as fucked.
I don't know.
And also riding at legal speeds.
Yeah, I was definitely speeding through the parking lot. So.
Wait, is that an actual thing? Speeding on a bicycle? Like,
yeah, you have to obey the traffic laws of the roads. Yeah.
You're
on a sidewalk, though.
No, but then I hit the parking lot at like 25 miles an hour. There's definitely not a 25 mile an hour zone in the parking lot.
Well, that's debatable.
So, anyway, I hit this dude's bike, right? And the bike's just totally fucked. Like, we both go flying. The bike is just totally fucked. Like, his front wheel is, like, bent at a 45-degree angle. And, like, his front frame bar is bent. And, like, he's, like, holding his head. And I'm holding my head. We definitely got a concussion, by the way, for sure. Because I had headaches for, like, 3 or 4 days after this. So I pick up my bike, and I pick him up, and I pick up his bike. And I'm like, oh my God, I totally fucked this kid's bike up. Like, I'm going to have to pay for this.
You picked him up, you buried him.
Yeah. I basically murdered him, right? So,
Wait, did he have the right of what? Like, who fucked up? Was it your fault?
Oh, it was 1,000% my fault because I hit the pavement coming through the buildings without looking. And he was in the parking lot, like nonchalantly going through, like where cars would drive through. I'm actually glad it was a bike and a person, not a car, because then I would have been dead. Instead, I just killed the Asian guy. And then I pick up his bike, and like I said, his bike's totally screwed up. I look at my bike, and I'm like, well, crap, this actually looks pretty good. Like, my wheel's pretty fine, and it looks really good. And hey, man, are you good? I'm like holding my head. I'm like, hey, are you good? And he like shakes his head, no. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you're not good? And he's just looking at his bike, shaking his head. And I was like, no, not the bike. Are you okay? And he just nods his head like this. And I say, okay, thanks, bye. And I just fucking leave. I just left him
on your
there.
working bike.
So as I start to pedal away, I realized that my bike was actually screwed up because for my wheel to point straight, my handlebars were now at a 45-degree angle. So now to use this bike, I have to hold the gear lever. I don't have a rear brake, and now to drive straight, my handlebars are clocked at a 45-degree angle. And this all happened within the first, 6 months of owning this bike. And that's not the only person I hit either in that time frame.
If you fucking put this shit out there, old Johnson down at the University of Maryland Police Department's gonna dig up the cold case file and find record of this Asian guy that reported you.
Yeah, if they actually do that, I'd be impressed because I've gotten my car literally was sideswiped in the parking lot in grad school with a camera there, and the police guy took like an hour to get there. And he goes, "Oh, those are fake. We don't actually have those on." So I don't think they investigate anything. That's not the only person I hit on my bike either. So I don't know if you remember, we were biking past the JMP building one day, and it was right when classes let out, and so there's just a huge group of people on the sidewalks, and so we were biking along the road. And this girl was like texting into her phone or Snapchatting or I guess that in those days it would have been Vine.
Snapchatting?
Well, it would have been Vine, right? There's no TikTok back then, but there was Vine. That one glorious year or two where Vine existed. So she's got her head in her phone and she's not paying attention, and she steps off the curb right in front of me and Will. And Will's able to stop, but I don't have a rear brake and I'm not going over the handlebars. And I just completely smack into this girl. I just run right into her, and she had headphones in too, and she didn't see me at all. And I just completely barreled over and just knocked her completely over. She fell on the ground and everything. It was miserable. And everybody stops and just looks because they just saw the whole accident. They hear everything. It was pretty bad.
So let me get you're murdering Asians and hitting women. Is that what I understand? Is you're just a Asian murdering, woman hitting kind of guy?
I don't know what to say to that.
This is why you don't get bikes, ladies and gentlemen.
This is
as soon as you get a bike, you become the kind of person who murders Asians and hits women.
I guess.
Was she pissed off?
She was pretty pissed, and
she was dead. The blood coming out of her ears was really telling.
Hey,
like Brad did in the other scenario, he got on his bike, rode away. Bye.
That's exactly what I did. I was about to say,
you okay?
Are you okay?
You okay?
She said, yeah. And I was like, bye. I'm out of here.
She's clearly concussed, where am I? And then Brad's just like, all right, bye.
Oh, that would have been great.
Nas, you were there. Did you ride off too? Turns out it was Jay.
He was able to stop, so he didn't have to do anything. Actually, if I remember right, Will actually stopped, saw me trunk the girl, was embarrassed, and rode away and pretended like he didn't even know me.
That probably happened.
That sounds right.
That's exactly what Nuss did. Nuss was like, man, this guy can't talk to girls, and he just thinks as a pickup line, he's just gonna hit them.
Fucking serial rammer on the loose.
Serial rammer. It was pretty entertaining. So that was my biking experience. Not that great. And then the other thing too with this bike, by the way, that was really shitty. The pedals are supposed to be reverse threaded, so that way when you pedal, the pedal doesn't fall off the bike. I shit you not, this Walmart bike did not have reverse thread. So I would tighten the living hell out of that nut that held the pedal wheel, the little pedal piece on with the lever arm, and that would come off. It would back out and come off all the time. And so I distinctly remember multiple times biking halfway across campus. You'd bike up past the mall, and there'd be hot girls hanging out on the mall all the time, and all the liberal arts kids and whatnot, basking in the sunlight in the spring and the fall. And then there's
Just
nerdy,
Mm.
nerdy engineer kid me biking his ass up this hill, and then the pedal falls off, and then I gotta stop, take the bike, put it down on the kickstand, walk back the 20 yards, pick up my pedal, open up my backpack, take out a socket with a socket wrench, and then reattach my pedal, and then put my backpack on, and then keep biking away.
Dude, you should have gotten a socket wrench holster.
Yeah, like a little like a utility belt, just pulled it out.
You gotta wear a tool belt around campus.
Yeah, I might have gotten more girls if I wore a tool belt.
Should have added the socket wrench on your right and the WD-40 on your left.
I may have gotten more girls if I rode a tandem bike around campus with John.
Hey, you might. So,
or everyone would think we're goddamn losers.
That was already the case anyway.
That's fair.
So the rule of thumb is don't buy a bike from Walmart, get a crappy bike, or don't bike at all. But if you have to bike, you bike tandem.
Yeah, and if for all my Asian friends out there, just look out for this guy when you're on your bikes. Just be careful. Always be on the lookout. and don't text and cross the street, as we've learned from that one girl.
Yeah, do not Vine and or TikTok while you're crossing the street with your headphones in. By the way, I still think I saved her life because there were cars going up and down the road, and I'm convinced if I didn't hit her, the car was definitely going to hit her.
Someone was going to kill her anyways. It's a good thing I killed her.
So
she's lucky.
I'm sure those cars' brakes were just as bad as yours.
Yeah, well, it's PG County. They don't do inspections,
So, am I to understand that your bike just did not have brakes throughout the entirety of your usage?
Yeah, well, it never had a rear brake because after the wheel accident, the wheel being all wobbly, I had to take the brake off. Otherwise, I would never be able to drive the bike. So it only had a front brake. But the front brake, if you slammed on it, you're going to go over the handlebars. So you got to go nice and slow and ease on into it, right?
But then, okay, you got to ease into it. There's no stopping fast.
Yeah, there's no way to stop fast. So if a girl literally comes out right in front of you, I mean, you can stop fast and you're going to go right over top and hit them anyway. So
maybe you should have bought a slightly nicer Walmart bike. Like you said, they had 3.
They did have 3, and I got the cheapest one. So maybe the $130 bike would have been better.
$40 for actual brakes? That sounds like a.
It sounds like a steal. That's double the cost of the bike.
Oh God.